Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to sort of cloudy but sort of sunny Wednesday morning here in the city of Philadelphia. I am your host, executive producer of Light Beef Productions, James Jackson. I use he, they pronouns. And we have another Wednesday coffee break chat for you all. Little live show that we do here. Cover some arts goings on in the city of Philadelphia, and then talk about news and what's going on in the world from a Black perspective. I'd like to welcome to the show our special guest with the Nightlife Renaissance Fair. This is CJ and Quinton, and I know their names, so I will introduce them, but I will also let you guys introduce yourselves, your pronouns, and what it is you do. So, CJ.
Sure. Hello. I am Barrymore Award approximate theater artist CJ Higgins. I use they, them pronouns. I am a freelance theater artist, and I guess full time in the sense that any of us are full time. And I am, among other things, the director of communications and production at the Hummingbird Theater Troupe, and also the co host of Nightlife Renaissance Fair, along with Quinton.
And I'm Quinton J. Alexander. I use he and they pronouns. I am the casting director at the Hummingbards Theater Troupe. I'm also one of the co-producers and co-hosts of Nightlife, as mentioned before, and local sword enthusiast.
Local sword enthusiast. That's all. That's always a fun one. We actually in Philadelphia we have quite a number of local sword enthusiasts. Quite a number of my friends are local sword enthusiasts.
It's all Ian Rose's fault.
It's
It
true.
is. It is.
And also, like, what's not to get excited about? They're swords. That's awesome.
We're
Like,
gonna,
of
we're
course, of course, we're
like in
enthused.
the future we're gonna have a like an archaeologist or anthropologist come to the city of Philadelphia like 100 years in the future. So we should pull this into Jason. One of my friends, Jason Peters, does a podcast 2100, and the idea is that the podcast is a time capsule for the year 2100. And so we should have an anthropologist episode where they investigate the sword culture here in Philadelphia and find out why so many of us are in the arts are really interested in swords. Yeah. You folks are having the Nightlife Renaissance Fair. Tell us a little bit about it. When is it? What is it?
Sure. So the Nightlife Renaissance Fair is a digital Renaissance fair, a COVID-friendly Renaissance fair option that Quentin and I, created back last June. And we also did another production of it in September. And we are doing a third round that will be streaming live on Facebook on May 1st, starting at 5 o'clock. And Quentin, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the programming is?
Yeah, so the event is split up into two sections. The first segment of the event is called the Artisan Hour, or the Artisan 2 hours, where we have it's mostly local businesses, people that are craftspeople. They make either like resin art or candles or what have you, or like makeup tutorials, stuff like that. And they come on and they talk about their products, like how they make them, or why they got into this in the first place. We kind of give them free reign to promote their business in whatever way they see fit, whether they want to talk about how they got into things, a step-by-step tutorial about how to make jewelry, yeah, or just watch them do it and to like a really dope soundtrack. And then the at 7 o'clock, That's when the performer section of the event begins, where we have up to like 20 acts this time around.
Yeah, just
Um,
about.
yeah, where it's drag, it's burlesque, stage combat, circus arts, yeah, like whatever people want to do as far as like staying within the Renaissance fair theme. Um, but yeah, like we're really excited for everything that's going to be happening on May 1st.
Yeah. Sorry, did you mention the raffle?
Oh, yes, yes, of course.
We
The
love the
raffle.
raffle.
Yeah, during the artisan hour, we also have a raffle where the artisans will offer up at least one item that's up for raffle. And all proceeds from the raffle this time go to the Black Theater Alliance of Philadelphia.
BTAP is awesome. We love BTAP. They've helped out immensely in the Philadelphia area with just helping all of us respond to COVID and making sure we're all staying safe and getting the help that we need. So this sounds like an awesome and engaging and very full day of fair going. I'm awfully excited. I don't know how I will be able to contain myself until maybe next month. Might have to go put on the kilt now, just so
Yes.
that I can be prepared.
Just get into the spirit.
Truly, yeah.
How so? This is your third nightlife. What were some of the learning opportunities that you found? Some of the obstacles you found and overcame over the course of the other two? Other two, yeah, other two.
Well, I mean, first of all, just the concept of putting on a digital production in the first place is something that a lot of theater artists have had to learn. So just that entire thing is always a learning process for me. I usually take charge of like the editing process and also sort of stage management. I have two laptops around me and take care of like streaming it. So that is just something that I'm always learning from every single time. And each time that we've presented it, we have gotten feedback that has helped us improve the quality of the show and improve the accessibility of the show. Like the past round, we received feedback that closed captioning would be helpful for the acts. So this time we have made it a priority to make sure that our presentation has as many captions as we are able to do.
And how are you dealing with like so a fair is usually a very interactive kind of like back and forth between the performers and the audience, sometimes to the point where you're not sure whether somebody is a performer or an audience member. How are you working towards incorporating that?
I mean, the comments section is great for that. And
Yeah.
one of the big advantages of doing a streamed show is that all of the acts are pre-taped, so the performers can actually join in with the comments as well, which is just nice because like it provides a direct interaction, and also like people can see how people are liking their work in the moment.
Hmm.
I love the comments section
Yeah.
of our shows.
My eyes are just constantly glued to the comment section throughout the entire event, like both times we've done it. I feel like especially during like the artisan hour when people are like watching like something being made like right before their eyes, and that's the section that CJ and I we host that part of the event live, so that we can do like all of our little comedy bits and everything like that, and that always seems to go over pretty well.
Our cute little sketches.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this all, like I said, sounds amazing. Yeah, we've, there's about a billion different ways everybody's been trying to approach digital events and, you know, socially distanced events. And I love that, you know, like I've said before, and I think it holds true for everybody that is trying out digital events or working on the problem of digital events, is that it provides a lot of opportunity for that accessibility and dealing with accessibility the idea of dealing with accessibility, like you mentioned. You know, I mean, even though you know, Zoom, you know, there's the whole idea of Zoom fatigue. You know, it's a bit more accessible for folks in a lot of ways as well. So yeah. Is there ticketing for nightlife? Is there an entrance fee? How are you handling that?
We operate on more of a suggested donation slash pay what you can system, especially since we're participating with Philly Theater Week this year. So they offer like all different types of pricing structure options. By technicality, the event is 100% free to attend, and all you have to do to access it is go to our Facebook page, which is the Hummingbirds Theater Troupe, by the way. Anyone can just go there and watch it, and there's no, like, you have to, there is no gate. We just have ticketing options both through our website and through Philly Theater Week, where people can choose what they pay. Because, like, on the subject of accessibility, the Hummingbirds have always done our best to make our shows financially accessible as well, so that no one is being turned away for lack of funds. So if people want to show up for free, we're so happy to have them there. If they have a coin they want to toss, they can find, like, we have like a Venmo, a Cash App, a Ticket Leap page, just whatever way people would want to throw money at us, we have that option available.
Awesome. And just trying to think of if there's anything else that we need to let the audience know. I'd say go. I've just pasted your URL in the chats on all the social medias. Is there anything else that you can think of that we need to know if we're considering attending?
Quinton, thoughts?
I don't know. Tip well, tip often.
I sort of feel like I want to make the case for attending digital theater in general, especially since we have Philly Theater Week 2021 coming up. Like you mentioned, James, there is a lot of Zoom fatigue going on right now, and I know that it can be really difficult to, like, will yourself to go watch a digital event because it's not live theater, and we all know it's not live theater. But I have, the times that I have willed myself to go overcome my sadness and watch a digital show, I found those moments really fulfilling and great. And especially with, I guess, how few opportunities there are for artists right now, it's really good to support them in whatever way that you're able to. And make sure that, like, the folks who are trying to work from home right now are being compensated for their work.
Awesome. So I'm going to do a soft transition here. I guess calling it out makes it not such a soft transition.
And now the segue.
The segue has begun.
We'll ban the segue. Anyway, yeah, so I'd like to welcome on screen activist and commentator Daryl Lamont Jenkins.
You forgot all around nice guy.
All around nice guy. I mean, awesome person.
Yeah, can't leave that out.
Really just one of the best people I've ever met. Yeah, just love the guy. The soft segue. Oh, please introduce yourself, what it is you do, Daryl, and your pronouns.
Him. I make Nazis miserable. I'm the executive director of One People's Project, who been around for about 20 years, coming on 21. So we'll be eligible to we'll be able to drink in July. We monitor, research, and report on white supremacist groups and individuals. Actually, anything on the right that's trying to do us harm, and we've been doing a pretty good job of it over the past 20 some odd years. So I'm happy to be here, and I want to go to that fair.
We'd love to have you.
Go.
Yeah, come on.
Came in on,
Yeah.
see, I came in on the back end of the conversation. When I know you said May 1st. I got a food drive that day, but where is it?
It's going to be streaming on Facebook.
Yeah.
Starting.
Damn.
Well, we also will be streaming it on YouTube as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I got locked out of Facebook last night, and I don't know why.
Oh, great.
And I have a
Made
fear
too many
that I'm about
Nazis
to.
mad.
Yeah, probably. But
Yeah.
but jokes on them. I had 3 websites,
Perfect.
so who gives a crap?
So the thing that I wanted to bring up is about local artists. Just wanted to introduce Daryl before I brought it up. Have you guys seen the whole Twitter war that's going on between local Philadelphia artists and this oat milk company from England?
Oh,
I have not.
Oh,
familiar.
well,
Tell me more.
there's a lot of people not really going out in the world right now, but there's starting to be some more foot traffic around, and so there's a media company in England that has begun commentating that in-person advertising is the new hot trend. Let's start doing more in-person advertising, especially in urban environments. And so they created a few campaigns. One is a poster campaign for an oat milk company they are in England, but they supply worldwide. It's paste poster campaign. So they paste these posters across cities across the world. One of the cities they chose to execute this campaign recently is Philadelphia. So if you go outside in the city of Philadelphia right now, you'll see pasteboard posters for this oat milk company all over the place. What you'll also notice is that they pasted them over top of local artists' pasteboard work, including some displays that are, memorializing
Oh my God.
certain people who've died over the summer. MLK
Oh my God.
memorials. Yeah,
They didn't think anything of this.
apparently not.
They're
Yeah.
like
Now, can you? No. I want y'all to. I want this coursing through your brain for a minute. I mean, I could see how it could look good on paper, and then you realize what you've done later when people start bitching. Can you imagine a person that actually had to do it, going up there and saying, are we sure about this?
Yeah, like the person that's like making like $10 an hour to like put this thing up, and it's like, it's not my idea. It's not my idea. Like,
but memorial murals are not subtle by nature. Like, how do you miss it? Oh my God.
I don't know how they missed it. I don't have an answer to that one, but yeah. A lot of Philadelphia area artists have been tweeting because it's not like we can go up to the company because they're based in England, and go to their doors and be like,
corporations for people.
yeah, oh right. Sorry.
Let's talk person to person.
Yeah, it would be nice, but yeah, the oat milk company is blaming their advertisers, and the campaign creation company is blaming the local affiliates So yeah, so this is it's been an interesting couple of days. There's been a couple of articles out about it. I'll paste you one of the articles in a
me
bit.
that.
But...
I mean, this is all new to me. I mean, it's sometimes it's like you can't be this obtuse, y'all. You really can't.
No, you really can't. And I don't like, of all the cities in the world to execute a campaign like this, like you should have talked to somebody. You should have talked to somebody in Philly and been like, or well, like really anyone in the United States or the Northeast in general, and been like, hey, what do you think will happen if we cover up local artists' work in Philadelphia with our ad campaign?
Yeah, we love our murals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like murals are a big deal, and like I feel like Philly like already has like enough problems with being like recognized on like a national and global scale as
Exactly.
like, a city. So it's like you're gonna come in here and cover up all of the stuff that like we're already doing, that we're already proud of. Like what?
No, it's crazy because it's like, I mean, I'm from Jersey originally. I'm in Jersey now.
Same.
And I did not realize when I moved to Philly, I was just seeing one mural after another. And it wasn't, I mean, it was just a culture, straight up culture. And I'm honestly, I got to be honest with you, I'm surprised that it's just on Twitter, people flipping out. I'm surprised that this hasn't gone IRL yet. It will.
Yeah.
Well, it has to an extent. So a lot of these murals are over things, like I said, that we're memorializing. So it's not just mural arts type, like massive mural stuff that they covered over. They also covered over actual local small artists displays. There's a relatively famous one on South Street that is it has been left alone all summer. You know, artists have been adding to it, but nobody's tagged over it or done anything like that. And they posted these posters on top of it. Some local artists went over and tagged the heck out of it, and some people have rip down some of the wheat paste posters. But the problem with wheat paste posters is if you rip down a wheat paste poster, it rips down whatever's behind it. So right. But yeah, so you know, the company is apologizing and just saying, oh well, you can take down our work, and we're like, you can't, because it destroys whatever's underneath. So you've destroyed local works of art with your stupid ass international ad campaign. But yeah,
that's what.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it looks good on paper. It looks good on paper, but
does it though? Like, why?
When you don't live here and you don't realize, that's one thing. But you know what? All these companies, I mean, they're basically looking at their bottom line and things like that. So they don't have local people telling them, yo, that's not good. Not in Philly. I mean, you can barely get away with it in Baltimore. Because Baltimore has a little bit of that kind of culture too.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to do your research. If you see that murals are a prominent thing in a certain community or in a certain city or something like that, your mission is to make sure why. You know why.
Yeah.
Because if you don't and you do something that's effed up like this, you're going to be told.
And they were told
very angry people.
by very angry people. So like I just don't think the whole concept works. I think that the whole concept is to co-opt the language of the streets, which we've seen before. You know, we've seen advertisers co-opt the language of the people and co-opt the culture of the people. I mean, I don't want to get too mean about advertisers, because I am a professional photographer and I've worked in the fashion industry and but there's adding to the culture by generating your own art, and then there's this kind of co-opting thing. Like the company is called Minor
Figures.
Minor Figures. Thank you.
Yeah.
Minor
Thanks for the link, by
and
the
like
way.
yeah, that seems to me to be a co-opt of blackness and black excellence by pulling in like hidden figures and then co-opting it to minor figures. And then above that, you're going to co-opt this like urban campaign, like co-opt the language of people who have no money, trying to express themselves by expressing your commercial interest in the same manner. Like that just seems like a bad idea to me. Like I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. There's a way to do advertising and adopt the language of the street, but then this is just straight up co-opting to me. I don't know.
It is. I mean, overall, it is. I mean, it reminds me of what we do have here in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Kind of related. We had back in the day, we had a whole bunch of clubs that got shut down. Basically punk clubs, people playing. So we didn't have any places where bands could play and stuff like that. So we would have, and we had them in Philly too, the illegal basement shows, and stuff like that. The police will raid them and shut them down, and everybody will have to go home, and you have to pay a fine and all that if you get caught. And that's the way it's been for a good number of years, especially here in New Brunswick. Red Bull decided that they was going to have a little basement show campaign going on here in New Brunswick. And we were like, we get in trouble for this, but the city fines us for doing this, but they're going to say, come on into Red Bull? This is the college town. This is Rutgers University. And it's kind of like, no. And on top of that, bear in mind that the city was responsible for shutting down all the clubs, while at the same time promoting the vibrant arts and music culture here in the city. But but you can only appreciate that arts and music if you had a couple $100 to throw to a ticket.
Yeah, that's I mean, that is the way it seems to go all the time. Yeah. We'll promote the arts and culture, but only what we as gatekeepers decide is good arts and culture, which it's a nice, the one I guess nice thing, I don't know what the right word is there, but about this COVID pandemic and being having these shutdowns is that there's a lot less gatekeeping. There's a lot easier access directly to your audiences, even worldwide access. But like as we exit, I guess exit's the right word, the pandemic, we're gonna get into the place where we have like vaccine passports. We have people who were able to get vaccinated and weren't able to get vaccinated. I posted up a map recently of countries by the estimated time that they'll be able to get mass vaccinations, and some places like all of Central and South America, they're saying won't be until 2024 or 25. Like,
yeah, like in Brazil, they're just like, we don't want the vaccine at all. And I'm like, what's going on?
You don't want the tourism at all either, apparently.
Yeah.
But also there's an element of, like the Biden administration didn't reverse a decision, there were the elements to the contracts that the Trump administration made with with all of the vaccine creators that said that they would basically protect the copyright of these vaccines internationally. And so aside from vaccine resistance in certain countries, there's also the fact that our vaccine makers are not giving the vaccine to other countries to mass produce, which I find problematic.
Well, right now they're dealing with Johnson & Johnson. By the way, New Brunswick is also the worldwide headquarters of Johnson & Johnson. And I'm doing my treatment at the hospital they own here. I do radiation treatment every day. And it's kind of like scary how they had to halt usage of their vaccine for right now. And everybody's freaking the hell out. It's like, hey, look, we got the vaccine. We pretty much all rushed the vaccine into existence. It's not that I don't trust it. I just had my second dose on Monday. It's the Pfizer vaccine, and so I trust it. But by the same token, I also recognize that we fast tracked a lot to basically just to try to get our society running again, our production running again. So there's going to be some things missed. There are going to be some things missed. We're not going back to normal for a good long while. We may be out and about. But we're going to be doing things differently than we did pre-pandemic. I mean, you may as well continue to keep your stock in the mask industry because we're going to be using them more. There are going to be places that say, hey, you can't come in here without a mask and all that.
I mean, we could, in theory, get rid of the common cold and cold and flu season if we continue to use masks for a number of years.
Yeah, honestly, that was like one of my hopes. I don't know if that's a right word, but I remember when the pandemic started and everyone was wearing masks, I was like, I wonder if this is going to normalize wearing masks like for like any type of like sickness, because they do that in like a lot of other countries. I think like Japan, like, you know, if you have a cold, put on a mask, you know, and I feel like that's very considerate. And I think that's something that we should adopt.
Yeah, I work in tourism in Philly, and I see guests, like international guests, come in with masks all the time, and now I'm like, I should be wearing a mask while I'm working there. Like, I'm dealing with people from all around the world. Like, that seems like a great option.
Well, we didn't have a flu season this year.
Yeah, no, we did. We had the deaths due to flu was extremely low. And almost non-existent. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
I mean, it was going to happen. We knew that was going to happen. I mean, it's hard to get sick when people aren't breathing on you. So.
Plus, there was so much of an increase in like the advertising to go get a flu shot this year, because there was so much like, this year especially, we want to make sure nobody else is getting sick. Go get your shot. I mean, I'll be honest, I got my first flu shot this year in years. Like, I was very poor on keeping up with my flu shots, but this year I went and I got one, and I think a lot of people were of the same mindset.
Yeah, I was like at a clinic for like just like a regular checkup, and they were like, "Hey, we're giving out like flu shots for free. Do you want one?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, it's free. Do it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done a flu shot. I just basically tried to stay away from everybody that I thought was sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I've done it too, but
doesn't always work.
The other three of us on this chat are in the theater industry, and so theater season is during cold and flu season. We're often, I can't count the number of like 10 out of 10s I've been in, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'm feeling so awful," and I'm like, "No, stay the fuck away from me. Like, I cannot get sick right now." And that doesn't work because obviously, you know, they're in the same room, and almost all of these things are airborne. So,
the show must go on.
The show must go. Yeah. Boy, do we need to get rid of that mentality.
Yeah, for real.
I think of the number, like, looking back, like, I think of the number of shows I've been in where, like, for the stage directions, I've had to, like, kiss an actor who wound up having a fever or a flu or something. And, like, I was like, Oh my God, we were just doing that. Ah.
So let's go on.
And that's not a consider. What's weird is that's not a like the producer. Nobody from producer to director to like stage manager. No, not any of the union contracts. None of that considers this a dangerous situation. Like the exchange of like close bodily fluids between actors or people, crew and stage, when that it's such a cost to our industry. People get sick, people do die. It's not as frequent, but people do die. People get taken out of like their career for weeks and months at a time. I would say it's something that I'm honestly flabbergasted that our industry has never really thought about that as an important thing.
Yeah, I remember like working on a show like about like 2 years ago, and like 50% of like the cast got like a cold, and like everybody that like all the higher ups and everything in the theater were like sort of hemming and hawing about like, should we cancel the show tonight, blah blah blah. And it wasn't until like one of the actors was like I can't even lift my head right now, and it's like, okay, all right, let's cancel it now. And it's like, was it like 50% of the cast being sick like already enough? Like does someone have to like almost like drop dead before like we make a decision on something? Like,
well you consider it like this. I'm not in the industry and I don't even think about things like that. And yeah, if somebody did drop dead, it'll be all over the news.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
so
right.
What is the theater? How is the theater industry treating its actors?
Not very well. And
they'll have Lin-Manuel Noriega
poorly. Well, a lot of the
Manuel Miranda is not the spokesperson for this.
No, but they would do it anyway. They would do it now because bear in mind, the Jersey part that I'm from is closer to New York City than it is Philly. So that means I get everything that they talk about in regards to theater is related to Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna hear all the Broadway. If something like that went down, it would have to be someone on Broadway dying from being sick.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be to the level of like, remember when shooting for the sequel, or what was it, The Crow was shut down because
Brandon Lee got shot.
Yeah, because Brandon Lee got shot. It would have to be to that level. Like that would be like a multi-million-dollar project would have to get shut down, and because somebody got sick and died. And then, like the CDC would be all over and it would be like, oh no, this is a a special variant of the cold and flu virus that we've had for decades.
Well, see, this is the thing. Though. We have the luxury of laughing about it now that they're not doing anything until someone dies. But but the thing is, somewhere in the future, it just might happen, and we're going to sit here and get pissed about it because we talked about it today. This is recording, correct?
Yes.
So to all you folks who are going through this BS, I don't know how many months, weeks, years from now, we know this now. We know this now on April 14th, 2021, which means we could do something about this now, or could have done something about this now, and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We could have made healthcare a priority in this country, I don't know, 4 centuries ago. But
so many times. We had so many chances to make that
there's
happen.
so many things. I mean, it's so many shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn'ts that we can just run down. I mean, there is really a lot of one of the biggest things that I have, I mean, when you deal with political activism for as long as I have, one of the biggest annoyances is the fact that damn near everything that I ever fought for is an easy fix.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's like, it just, for generations upon generations, it just doesn't get fixed because somebody's trying to make money somewhere else in the chain, you know.
Well, I just saw, and actually, I've had this whole debate going on in my head this morning. I just saw a survey that 51% of Republicans and something like 68% of Democrats agree with the idea of taking 20% of the, I think it was 20%, might have been less, might have been even like 10% of the U.S. military budget and removing it from the military and dedicating it towards addressing problems from the pandemic. And I'm honestly, I don't understand why this hasn't even been broached in the military industrial complex. Like, it would have been a fantastic, like, from a business perspective, this would have been an amazing pivot. Like, an amazing pivot. Like, imagine all the military industrial complex folks, you know, like all the industrialists pivoting and saying, okay, we're going to take care of health because it's an enemy domestic, and we're going to call it a domestic enemy, and we're going to take care of health, and we're going to make a shit ton of money because they're going to keep dumping money at us to take care of this healthcare problem. I don't know whether that would be a good thing or a bad thing, because then you'd have all these people who are really dedicated towards, you know, making a lot of money trying to address healthcare. But I don't understand why that pivot hasn't been done yet. I honestly expected that to be one of the first things that the new administration would do when they came into office, is to say, okay, we're gonna task parts of the military with addressing this healthcare problem. And to an extent they did. You know, they got the National Guard out there giving vaccines. They've got FEMA, you know, pulling military officers to do some logistics. But I honestly expected it to be a much bigger logistical change, and I'm surprised it hasn't been.
Well, I'm curious as to see what will change once Biden pulls everybody out of Afghanistan finally. There's probably still going to be people in Afghanistan, as always is the case, but I want to see exactly what happens when he does that, and whether or not resources be allocated to other things. It remains to be seen. I think more or less they'll probably end up going to the infrastructure work, but we need to keep an eye on it. We need to keep an eye on that and other things that we should have been doing but didn't for at the very least 4 years. It all depends on a lot of what we need to fix and correct does generally revolve around how much attention it's being given to by the general public. So the more we keep on sounding the alarm against things like the inattention that theater execs are giving their actors to how we're being treated health-wise, the more attention we give it, the better things will be. I mean, squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, well, and also I always say that the most expensive tool that you invest in as a society is what you use to solve every problem. I think that's why guns are such an issue in the United States. I think that's why we have such a pro-gun culture, because we've invested in this militarism and military idea. Like that is the solution that our government goes for.
Yeah, well, ironically, I'm 2 feet away from mine. So
yeah. I mean, I'm not.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
The title of the episode is "Root of the Problem or Useful Tool." I mean, it is a useful tool. Guns, guns like swords. We talked about swords at the beginning of the broadcast before you joined as well, Daryl. But they're cool. They're a useful tool. Swords in the 15th through really 14th through like 17th century were the sidearms that people were talking about, and a lot of the kind of focus in the Constitution around the Second Amendment about allowing people to carry their own weapons comes from. All right, so I may be entirely wrong about this history, but I'm pretty sure about it.
I feel like I have an idea of what you're going for, but continue.
Ben Franklin, huge Francophile, like huge lover of France, lover of the French Revolution, lover of the pre-revolutionary ideas that were in France at the time of his writings in the Constitution of the United States. He wanted to be French so bad. And if you look into French culture at the time, this was the time when French courtiers, French members of the French court, carried sidearms, as in rapiers and swords, to indicate that they were citizens of the French court, that they were powerful people. To take a French citizen's sidearm was essentially denying them citizenship. That you couldn't display on the street that you were a member of the court. Like that's huge. That's huge to just take somebody's citizenship. It would be like somebody walking up to a modern American and being like, "Give me your passport, your driver's license, everything. You can't have it for the next whatever." It was a punishment, and it was used as a punishment to take what little bit of power that a sidearm gives you and remove it from you. And basically Franklin was trying to say, this new government, we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to remove that citizenship from people. Now, you'll get a lot of people arguing the letter of the Second Amendment and whatever it is, but I think I may be wrong. Like I said, I may be wrong about this history, but I'm pretty sure that's why Franklin was arguing for, why a lot of the people that were arguing for the Second Amendment were arguing for it, that they wanted to protect the citizenship, the political power of the new country, the people of the new country. But then it got twisted over the years, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think in the country's founding, there was still a lot of uncertainty. It was still kind of like a frontiersman kind of world where you needed these tools to survive in some instances. We're living in a post-industrial world where we don't need these tools as much as that time. But it's perfectly understandable why they wanted to have, something like the Second Amendment back then,
Well, I will point out something too, because I posted this on Twitter. I retweeted this. It should be noted, and I do note on Twitter that there's an asterisk still affixed to his name. But Thomas Jefferson believed that a nation's constitution should be updated every 19 years to better reflect the modern generation's wishes.
Yes.
So if we want to, if we're going to go by what they were saying back in the day, go by that.
Yeah, strict constitutionalism is bullshit. In other words, stop trying to sell your originalism.
Yeah, especially since we're not going to listen anyway. I mean, we do want to evolve.
What I would say is trying to move this society away from using guns will require a sea change in how we address guns in the culture. We need a disinvestment. This is another reason why defunding the police, to me, or abolishing the police, to me, is a perfectly valid movement. There's a lot of people that are like, oh no, you can't say abolish the police, you'll lose votes, you'll lose people. I think it's perfectly valid to say abolish the police. It's not the tool that we need for every solution, at least in my opinion.
Now, unfortunately, I am going to have to leave you, because everybody right now has been blowing up my phone wondering what happened to me on Facebook. I have five. And by the way, I have 5,000. I have 5,000 followers on Facebook. So now a lot of people are blowing me up.
Do you have 3 minutes just to give us a brief overview of Daunte Wright and what's currently going on in Michigan, what is it? Wisconsin, Michigan?
No, Minnesota. Brooklyn Center.
Sorry.
Number one, Brooklyn Center was founded by a Klansman 100 years ago. So take that for what it's worth. But now it has a black mayor. Number two, Kim Porter, who was the one that fired the fatal shot. She has since resigned, as did the police chief, but she was the president of the police union. And if we know from any other police unions across the country, they're the ones who give away the store and tell you exactly how they feel about the communities they police.
McNesby must go. I hate McNesby. He's the president of the Philadelphia Police Union.
Good grief. Yeah, I mean, they make no bones, and McNesby ain't shite. So I don't know if we can. Well, this ain't the FCC regulated. So. Also, and that was why, by the way, that whenever they was doing the press conference, that Blue Lives Matter flag was flying on the flagpole outside Brooklyn Center's police department. So everybody picked up on that and was like, "What the heck?" Number three, there's a perfect storm going on. Am I 3 or 4? I don't know. We're at a perfect storm right now where we not only had to deal with that, we also had to deal with the second lieutenant that got pepper sprayed. I can't even recall, in some town in North Carolina, I believe. And we are still dealing with the Derek Chauvin trial, which was 10 miles away from where this was going down.
Mm-hmm. So, and here in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia PD just announced that their whole entire reasoning for a police-involved shooting was invalid. That they were pulling this guy out of a car because they thought he had warrants on him, but he didn't have any warrants on him. It was just somebody with a similar name and similar birth date.
Oh, brother.
I'm sure
that's why they're
the
getting in trouble. That's why they're going to get in trouble. Like I said, a lot of stuff that we fight is really an easy fix. We just have some people in the way, which brings me to the other idiots. Like I said, I monitor the right, and the right on Twitter is being incredibly stupid because they are sitting there getting mad. This is because of some neo-fascist by the name of Cassandra Fairbanks. She's a neo-fascist journalist that writes for the Gateway Pundit. You see her all the time. I first saw all the time with Jack Posobiec and Richard Spencer hanging out with all that crowd. She's complaining that we know Kim Porter's name, but we don't know the name of the cop that shot and killed Ashley Babbitt in the U.S. Capitol. And somehow this went viral among everybody, everybody on the right. And I'm sitting there going, really? This is the narrative you want to clap back with? Really?
Yeah.
Why don't we have the name of the cop that killed the person that stormed the Capitol?
Innocent people are dying, but we tried to stage one fascist coup, and suddenly
only one cop.
Oh God!
Like it's not the dunk you think it is.
Thank you for that summation. I really appreciate it, Daryl.
I got one more. For you. There's something that I do want to throw out there because this just came down the pike. I know I said I wanted to split, but I definitely wanted to throw this out there. There was a woman named Carol Horn. She was a cop in Buffalo, New York. Now, 15 years ago, she had her and her partner was arresting someone. Her partner was a white male, and he put the guy in a chokehold. She tried to stop him because he knew he was trying to kill him. She got fired 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And she's been fighting it ever since. Meanwhile, that cop went to jail federal prison for about 4 months for another thing that he did a couple of years later. Now, today, it just came down the pike that, and you can see this online. I'm retweeting it on Twitter now, that A former Buffalo police officer who said she was fired for intervening when a white officer attempted to choke out a black suspect will receive her pension after winning a lawsuit on Tuesday. The New York State Supreme Court vacated a previous ruling upholding the firing of Carol Horn. That's the one time I would say, not this cop is a bastard.
Yeah,
and
they don't incentivize the police to do what's right. Like,
no.
They really don't. Like,
no.
Anytime someone intervenes, like, they get punished.
She got fired.
Yeah.
She got fired. The reason why this was such a big deal, he had him in a chokehold while the man was handcuffed. Today, that guy is still alive saying, Carol Horn saved my life. She served and protected, and they fired her for it.
That's what always happens. You know, the one cop does. And that's the interesting thing about the lieutenant who was arrested who was pepper sprayed and violently arrested for no reason in North Carolina, is one of the cops on that scene was a trainee. And if you watch the video, I don't recommend watching any video, but apparently from descriptions I've read, if you watch the video, you can see the trainee being very confused about what's going on. He's trying to de-escalate the situation, and the senior officer who was training him at the time is escalating the situation. And you know, so it's really easy to see how these problems are systemic, and then, you know, and they perpetuate themselves. I just, you know, I'll probably, you know, fall on deaf ears or preaching to the choir, whichever one you want to talk about. Say again that defunding the police seems to be the only way to address this. Abolishing the police, building from scratch. I don't know, you know, like, you know, people are like, well, what happens in the meantime?
In the meantime, you don't kill us.
Yeah, in the meantime, no, people don't die as often. That was going to be my segue into this, but we segued easier. But, you know, the one thing that the pandemic hasn't lowered in death rate is the death rate of black people being killed by cops.
Yeah,
has not lowered.
Yeah, we'll be here forever talking about this. And
shooting incidents haven't lowered from cops either. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's funny. We'll go on forever about how different, even in the pandemic, where they were treated as wild. If you're in Central Park and you're not wearing a mask, you get a summons. You get a cop will give you a ticket or something like that. If you're somewhere like in Brooklyn and Flatbush or something like that, you're being put up against the freaking wall.
Mm-hmm. By cops who are not wearing their masks right.
Meanwhile, some of these anti-mask protests have involved cops getting ran over by the anti-mask protesters, and nothing happens to the anti-mask protesters.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we'll be here forever. We will be here forever. So, all right. Well, I got to take care and see whether or not I can get back to get my Facebook back. So, good talking with everyone.
Nice
Appreciate
to meet
you.
you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
I just want to thank Daryl. It is 11 o'clock, so I want to thank Daryl, Quinton, CJ. Thank you for watching the coffee break chat. Really appreciate you guys for coming out this morning, and hope folks will come to the nightlife. You're welcome back on anytime. Anytime you have anything you want to say, just hit me up. We'll bring you on the show. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna drop over to a single shot of me and exit this program as gracefully as I can. Thank you to all of our guests, and thank you to all of the viewers. Really appreciate you for taking the time to watch. If you like what you see, consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/LightThiefProductions. We try and bring you independent news, independent opinion, not trying to be beholden to any advertisers. So, you know, support our independent media and give us we have rates as little as $1 a month, and you can always donate more. Subscribe to us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, Twitch. Twitch is still out there. And then Mob Crush we have is our restreaming service that we use. They're free, so sign up for a Mob Crush account, and you can see our content there as well. And tune in next Wednesday. Next Wednesday morning, we'll have another coffee break chat. We'll talk about all of the topics that we covered this week, probably again, and we'll talk about more. So thanks for watching, everyone, and hope to see you next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m.